Hey y'all, Austin here with Outer World Media. Welcome back to another book review, guys. This time we're talking Clive Cussler. We are talking the first book in the Fargo Adventure series. We are talking Spartan Gold. Just gonna start off with this, kind of giving you guys an idea of what is Spartan Gold about. This book opens up with a viewpoint of Napoleon Bonaparte and him while he is trying to cross the Alps. One of his lieutenants comes across something and he proceeds to take Napoleon and some other higher ranked military people with him to see what he discovers. From there, we go and we meet Sam and Remy Fargo, who happen to stumble upon this Nazi submarine in some marsh out in Maryland. From there, they are led on an adventure to discover the lost collection, lost wine bottles of Napoleon Bonaparte that leads to an ultimate bigger prize, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's kind of summing this up in a nutshell. This is a book, like I said, about Sam and Remy Fargo, who, like I said, they are adventure seekers. They are, I don't want to say adrenaline junkies. They are huge history buffs. They both have their own unique experiences that they bring to the table and knowledge. They are a married couple. As this book goes along, we do discover and find out that Sam and Remy, they're kind of loaded. They have quite a bit of cash, so that's kind of how they fund their adventures and whatnot. If you've watched any videos that I've posted on the channel before regarding this series, you know that I kind of did a blind buy on eBay. I bought the first 12 books. The 13th book comes out next year sometime. So I had high hopes going into the series just based off of book one. Again, they are a married couple. In the videos in the past that I've talked about this, the few videos that I've mentioned this series, I talked about how this first book kind of sounded a little bit like Fool's Gold to me with Matthew McConaughey. If you don't know what that is, I highly recommend go watch it. My wife showed me that movie, got me hooked on it. And I had somebody, I forget who it was, um, but they had mentioned, hey, you say this sounds like this movie. Clive Cussler actually wrote a book called Sahara that they made a movie out of that Matthew McConaughey starred in. So I'm definitely going to have to check out that movie as well as that book series. But I will say, kind of going into this with some preset expectations as far as compared to that movie. Not as much comedic aspect as I was expecting, but that again, that's nothing against the book. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit like the movie. Again, I enjoyed it. This was one of those things that the big issue I had with this is the guy that the person they were going up against who was the bad guy, never seemed like the bad guy had an upper hand really in this. They seem to get out of any and every situation scot free, which is not a bad thing. I just was kind of hoping that it was going to be a little bit more realistic, I guess is the best way to put it. I enjoyed the book, I really did, but it was a little too squeaky clean for me, for my liking. That's not to say I'm not going to continue on with this series. I have 11 other books in this series to read. Again, it was just kind of let down a little bit by that. I'm not sure if that's how Mr. And that's what I was going to say. Another thing, it says Clive Cussler, but it also says Grant Blackwood, so I'm not sure how much Clive Cussler actually wrote in this book. And again, this is the first book I've read by Clive Cussler. I'm not sure if all of his books are the kind of that squeaky clean as far as, oh yeah, they just get off scot free. If that's the case, I'm not necessarily going to like that as much. I'm not going to lie. But again, I enjoyed this book enough. I am going to pick up the next book in the series. Again, I really enjoyed the historical aspect of this book. There's a scene where they go to like this underground cavern cave where they find like a Nazi stash where there's a couple other submarines and some other stuff, and you see that find out that they had kind of this big plan or in the works, like a kamikaze type of situation. Again, I really enjoyed certain aspects of this book. Again, I just wish it was a little bit more realistic as far as, hey, we're going up against this guy who we need to fear him a little bit more than, well, he's the bad guy, he's gonna come after us, of course, but you know what, we'll be fine, we'll get through this, we have each other. Again, that's not a bad thing to have in a relationship, enough faith in each other. But again, in a book like this, I wish there was a little bit more. Okay, we trusted this person and they betrayed us, so we're gonna, and that does happen. There's a couple twists in this book, but nothing that I'm like, oh crap, I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, okay. Well, by the time you're halfway through this book, you're like, well, they're gonna get out of it. There's no question about it. Again, that's just kind of a nitpick. I enjoyed this book enough. I'm going to pick up the next book in the series. But again, Spartan Gold by Clive Cussler. I'd I'd probably give it like I want to say like a 2.5, maybe a 3 star. I'd probably go 2.5 star. Again, I enjoyed it enough. I'm going to continue on with the series. It wasn't really bad. It wasn't really good, but the idea that there was nothing like what's the term I'm looking for? There was nothing like again. It didn't seem like one of them they may not make it through this, or one of their allies or friends might not make it through this. It was, well, they'll figure something out somehow, some way. But again, guys, just a little nitpick I have for this book. Again, Spartan Gold by Clive Cussler. Going to continue on with the series. I hope it gets I hope it gets better than the first book. Again, I enjoyed the first book, certain aspects I should say, but again, going to continue on with this series. As always, I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.